Monday morning, talk sport, extra time. Bob Ballard taking you through till 6 when it's the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast with Ray Parlour on Talk Sport and on Talk Radio from 6 to 10. It is Paul Ross. Let's talk NBA with Max Whittle. Hi, Max.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
Very good indeed. There's quite a lot to get through in the next few minutes, so let's crack on. With the word of the week, posse. Nothing to do with Steve right in the afternoon. What's all this about?
Yeah, it's been the talk of the NBA really the last 7 days. Phil Jackson, the president of the New York Knicks, famous coach of the Bulls and Lakers previously, he sat down with Jackie McMullen of ESPN for an interview, and of all things, bizarrely, was talking about, at one point, LeBron James' departure from Miami. And he was talking about the special treatment that LeBron wanted and needed, and then he talked about LeBron James' business associate. So this is the quote that's got everyone talking. He said, "You can't hold up the whole team because you and your mum and your posse want to spend an extra night in Cleveland." Now, what Jackson's referring to is when James played in Miami, he'd sometimes want to stay over an extra night in Cleveland when they had a game there. But the rule of thumb for every team was to fly out after every game. So Jackson said posse here, and he's referring to James's business group, which is longtime friend Maverick Carter. He oversees the entertainment aspects of James's off-court interests. You've got Rich Paul, who's James's agent, and then Randy Mims, who looks after security. Now, this is a business group that's worth $1 billion. There was calls when James entered the league as a teenager that he had to sign with an agency, but he trusted his friend, who he's known for a long time, and it's absolutely worked. Now, Carter took offense to this. He tweeted a definition of the word posse, which essentially means, if you look at the dictionary, a body of men summoned by a sheriff to enforce the law. James said he lost all respect for Phil Jackson, and it became interesting, because at first glance, when I saw this story, it didn't really look like anything. But James's quote to say about Jackson, that you can only imagine what he says off the camera. That was James insinuating that Jackson was racist. And, you know, do I think Phil Jackson's racist? No. Was it unfair? Yes. And this is a slight to James's team. And run the Knicks. I mean, Jackson works for the Knicks. Run the Knicks. Do it better. You gave $72 million to Joakim Noah. You're stuck in the 90s with triangle offense. And he's talking about LeBron James. It's really strange.
Will that just blow over, or will there be some more long-term fallout from that?
Well, it's going to be interesting when the Cavs and the Knicks play. And you've had a lot of African Americans comment on this. Durant has said that, you know, he understands why LeBron is upset. And the really interesting tale is the fact that Jackson's team has Carmelo Anthony, who is one of LeBron James's best friends. He's also African American, and he's already commented on it. You know, it's internal politics you don't need. And if you go back and do your homework, Phil Jackson actually referred to LeBron James's posse again in a book that he wrote when James entered the league. So I think it's going to continue with comment, and LeBron's probably got more to say about it down the road, but Jackson just needs to stop talking about things that don't really deal with him.
As you know, I have a soft spot for point guards, having been one, not a particularly good one in my youth, but you know, I believe they are the engine room of every basketball team. Without a good one, you just don't succeed. And probably top of the pile at the moment in the NBA is James Harden.
Everyone's thinking about you now playing basketball. I want to see some video after.
No, luckily there wasn't video in those days. It was black and white film. So.
Well, you can watch James Harden now. And it take you back 1972-73. There was a guy called Nate Archibald, who's remembered as Tiny. He averaged 34 points and 11.4 assists that season. That's still the only player ever to lead the league in points and assists. Now, James Harden, he is currently averaging 28.7 points. That's fifth in the league, and he leads the league in assists at 12.5. He's a career 5.1 assist guy. So his assists have jumped up so much, and the reason being is Mike D'Antoni, the new coach in Houston, has given Harden the keys of the team. He's the full-time point guard now. He's become a willing and a great passer. He seems to enjoy sharing the ball. Since he was in the league, 2009, he's been a score-first guy. But he's really sharing the ball. And talking about Archibald record, by the way, Russell Westbrook is second in both of those categories. But there's a lethargy to how James Harden played. Definitely doesn't play anymore, and it looks like he's asking the question now: how can I make the assist sexy? Because he's remembered for, you know, scoring the ball, but he's trying to help his teammates now, and I think he realizes that you are remembered for winning and not your stance. not your stats, sorry.
That's where I went wrong then, obviously, all those years ago. I said I'll be picking up a big salary now from the NBA. Right, yeah, exactly, thank you very much. So on Friday, Carl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, and indeed Joel Embiid were all involved in a match in Philadelphia. How did that one go down?
Yeah, so the Minnesota Timberwolves were successful, and the story coming into it and out of it is, who of these three is going to be the big superstar the next 10 years? Anthony Towns is 21, Wiggins is 21, and Embiid's 22. When you look at who's the next star of this group, I think Wiggins and Embiid have this unique offensive and defensive talent. Towns is going to give you 20 points, 10 rebounds throughout his career. He's got an insane work ethic. He's got the right coach as well, Tom Thibodeau. And I think with Anthony Davis, Towns will be the best center the next 10 years. But I look at star power with Wiggins and Embiid, who have showed enormous potential on both sides of the floor. Wiggins scored 47 against the Lakers last week, forgetting that game against Philadelphia. He can shoot the three, he can defend, he gets to the hoop, and he's really a flashy player. And then Joel Embiid, similar kind of thing, great footwork, played volleyball until he was 18, he played soccer as well, he's got that amazing footwork, he can shoot the three, you get pure excitement with him. Towns is that does everything right guy, but I look at Wiggins and Embiid as two players you need to watch the next 10 years.
We haven't seen a full-strength Boston Celtics for a while, but they're getting their key players back.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week last week, and it will be this week for the Celtics. Last Friday they lost by 16 points, and Isaiah Thomas, who's been there throughout, the little guy, 5'8" point guard, he was subbed in the third quarter, and it was an interesting quote he had at the end of the game. He said that, I guess we gave up. He said, I only played 27 minutes, we gave up. And he kind of referenced the coaching staff there as well that gave up. And, you can't have that in a team that have been successful the last few years. But what they do have is Al Horford coming back from a concussion. He was concussed Halloween, so he missed 9 games. And Jay Crowder, who is their best player with an ankle problem, he missed 8 games. But Horford was their big summer acquisition. He comes back from a concussion, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. He hit the go-ahead layup, 92 all against Detroit at the weekend. And this week, they've got a young Timberwolves team. They face the Nets, a game they should really win, and they have a big test against San Antonio. So with those players healthy, Boston was a team you were looking to win a lot of games this season under Brad Stevens. They've got everyone back now, and they should want to go on a long winning streak.
Max, good to catch up with you. Thank you very much indeed. We'll talk soon about NBA matters.